Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. You already know what this is. You do. You already know what this is. Let's not even pretend, shall we? So, Call of Duty Ghosts multiplayer. Got another video coming with the extinction mode as well, something to consider because that's a little bit different. But I want to do a video of the multiplayer, and I want to focus on the PC port. And rightfully so, because it's bloody abysmal. Good lord. It is dreadful. You seeing this stuttering in the background? You might be thinking, oh, that's probably YouTube just being strange. No. No, it does that. All the time, in the menus, for no apparent reason. Even worse, when you go into online play and go to your loadout screen, it just freezes at random, for no apparent reason. I cannot explain it. Oh, God, I mean, it's going to be difficult even to show you the options menu because the game apparently can't even handle that. Can you tell I'm a little bit on edge? Yeah, I'm a little bit on edge. I go into this game expecting the kind of usual COD experience. Having played Black Ops 2, I gotta be honest, I enjoyed it. It was alright. It was okay in multiplayer, single player was so-so, but at least they made an effort. You know, at least they tried to innovate in some way. Not here, though. No. Absolutely not. And yet again, more steps back for those of you who are on PC. So let's head into the video options and see what we can see. Oh, no, it's not clicking. Let's try again. There we go. Wonderful. Screen refresh rate, 120Hz. That's always nice to see, except for the fact that the game is hard-locked at 90, meaning that 120Hz is absolutely pointless. So you can throw that out the window immediately. Got image quality, depth of field, you know, the kind of reasonable options that you might expect. Let's turn motion blur off, thank you very much. And then you can go to extra texture quality. This is the same thing that was in Modern Warfare 3. And in order to basically get it to render past 720p textures, you needed to turn this stuff on. So I turned it on, and considering that this game's system requirements consist of about a 50GB install, I am deadly serious, by the way. Not only that, but they require 6GB of RAM, and actually ridiculously high system requirements for what it is. I expected the kind of next-gen COD experience, yeah? Call of Duty, of course, is coming to PS4 and Xbox One, so I thought, oh wow. It only runs at 720p on Xbox One, must have some pretty hefty requirements, must have a really big leap in quality versus Black Ops 2. Nope. No it doesn't, and you will see why in a minute. What is, of course, conspicuous by its absence in... come on! All of these bloody options menus is a lack of a field of view slider. There isn't one because Infinity Ward hates PC gamers. They really do. Like... I remember back to Modern Warfare 2, where a bunch of us boycotted the game, and I still have to this day. I've never bought Modern Warfare 2. Because of the attitude of Infinity Ward at the time to PC gamers, saying, you know, you don't need text chat, you don't need rebindable keys, you don't need a field of view slider, which is just obnoxious bollocks. And they seem to have done this to this day. Treyarch, on the other hand, actually make good PC versions. They put the effort in. Even with Black Ops 1, they put the effort in. At least you go to about 85. This is hard-locked at 65. The only way to get it past that is to use a third-party hack utility, which I am using, and the link is in the description below this video. It shouldn't get you banned from Valve, by the way. They pretty much said that they don't really care about it, but you need to use it, because 65 FOV on a normal monitor will probably make you sick. And even if it doesn't, this is the thing to bear in mind, even if it doesn't make you sick, it's still going to provide you such a limited field of view that you're going to be shot from outside of your peripheral vision over and over and over again, and you're going to hate life. Audio options only have a single slider because, you know, it's ridiculously obvious that you should only have one slider. You know, having 4 is just absurd. Why on earth would you want to turn the music down or turn the voice level down? Our optimal balance is the only balance. You shall not mess with our piece of art. Our artistic vision will not be compromised because we are Infinity Ward. In name alone. Voice levels, for the love of God, go and mute everything, because it's just horrible. Default microphones, thankfully most people have them on. The kids that have them off, it's just obnoxious. Mute them all. Thankfully, at least they decided to put that in the game. Controls, you can rebind your keys, which is nice. As you can see here, and I'd strongly recommend it, considering it's doing the usual COD thing of, oh, you're crouching? No, that really means you want to go prone. And you might actually want to crouch, because that seems like a good idea. That stuff is by default unbound. So basically the only thing this lets you do is dolphin dive, really. I never use prone, for the most part. So I am just going to rebind that stuff, and I'm going to hold crouch, because it makes more sense. Nothing really complicated about that. Hey, there's the chat options. Voice chat unbound. Keep it that way. Really, keep it that way. Nobody wants to hear your terrible thing. Alright, so that's all of that for the most part. There are no mouse sensitivity issues anywhere that I can find in the options menu. It doesn't even address it. So if you have mouse sensitivity problems, you are SOL. Unless, of course, you have a gaming mouse, which I do, thankfully, so I can change the sensitivity on the fly. If there is mouse acceleration, it seems like there is a bit, but it's hard to tell. It's not really getting in the way of me shooting people, but then again, this is a game where shooting people is fairly easy. So, let us move on to create a soldier here. And this will show you a lot of different loadouts. They all have names, as you can see here. There's what's called a squads mode in this game, which allows you to pit your AI-controlled squad against other AI-controlled squads. It's kind of like a sort of survival mode, a virtual deathmatch, as it were, and it allows you to gain experience and levels outside of the online environment, which is pretty good. You know, that's a pretty cool thing. As it stands, I'm not really bothering to engage in it. I've just got this single trooper here. So let's have a look at some loadouts. By default, you get a decent number of loadouts, and then you get into this after a few levels where you're able to do some customization. So let's have a look at what we've got. I'm using a bulldog, which is a shotgun. And you'll also notice that you have the ability to unlock pretty much any gun in the game for so-called squad points. This is an improvement. This is the kind of thing that Treyarch started to do when they realized, oh, having to wait till level 75 for your favorite gun is a terrible idea, so let's allow you to bypass that and get the guns that you want to get. This game does allow you to do that as well with so-called squad points. I have no idea how you acquire them. You seem to just get them at random throughout the game. I don't know why, but your rank is separate from your squad points. Some stuff does unlock with rank. Yeah, it is worth noting that that is the case, but you can bypass an awful lot of it with squad points there as well. So, customization for guns is kind of what you would expect, I suppose, from a COD game. You got mods, your underbarrels, and things like that. You can put a sight. I believe you can just put 2 modifications on by default, and you can get a 3rd one with a perk. So, I mean, that's that. And then you've got your camos, which obviously I haven't unlocked any of, because you probably have to prestige 5,000 times to do so. There's your unlocks for your pistols as well. They basically threw Treyarch's system out the window because I'm of the opinion that Infinity Wars is absurdly arrogant about everything and hates Treyarch. So they threw the whole system of the 10-point breakdown out of the window, which is a real shame because that was actually good. And they replaced it with the old Modern Warfare style of doing things for the most part. But they did change things around a little bit when it comes to dealing with kill streaks. You now have so-called strike packages, which you can set up, and they have a few different things going with them. If I recall correctly, this is very, very similar to the way that Modern Warfare 3 did it. So it's a little different to Black Ops 2. So in the case of Assault, you lose your streak count on death. Support, you don't. Specialist is earn extra perks through your streak. Yeah. So you kill more and more stuff, you get more perks. Kind of like that. Yeah. So not particularly tricky. I like to pick support because, well, 1, it's helpful, and 2, of course, it's a little bit more relaxed. I always stress out when I'm playing the Assault Strike package because I don't want to lose my kill streak and then I end up freaking out and doing that anyway. Aside from that, there's your perk system. Nice and easy for the most part. As you can see, these are rank-based for the most part, but you can also skip through and unlock these perks using the squad points. So, instead of getting to rank 50, I could just use a squad point, but some of them cost a lot for some reason. Like, Deadeye costs a lot of squad points, and this costs less. I'm not really sure why that is. I suppose it would make sense if you went further down the list, but, like, compare that to that, or even that to that. It's more than double. I'm not really sure why, but it is what it is. Alright, so my default perks here, I've got Regenerate Health Faster, Scavenger for ammo, and then Blind Eye, so I can't be detected by air support and sentries and things like that. Hard to really... This really should be default, I'm sorry. I have died from falling about 5 feet in this game, so it would be really nice if that were default. You'll also notice you can pick 4 perks. I believe you used to be 3, so that's a little bit of a difference there. Aside from that, that's pretty much your customization in a nutshell. You can customize visuals as well. I'll be damned if I can remember where. Maybe I have to go back. There we go. And I can edit the name. How do you... There, it's F2 for some reason. Don't really know why that is. But if you go F2, you'll be able to customize. And of course, you can be a female soldier this time around for whatever reason. But it's cool that they finally put that in, I suppose. It's a little bit ridiculous that it wasn't there. And then you've got special stuff going on there as you unlock it and You can mess around with things like headgear. Every one of these helmets looks quite silly, so... Which is fine. I want to look quite silly. And then we've got your patches as well. The emblem designer is gone. You can't use that anymore, so if you're looking forward to that, then you are, again, SOL. There we go. I'm now an angry red elephant. Alright, so that's that. That's the customization there, and as you are probably aware, the operation system with the sort of milestones and achievements that will get you a bunch of unlocks. You get a lot of squad points this way. It's a pretty good way of unlocking stuff. You can also get new operations with F2. The final thing that you can do in-game is something called a field op, which is like a randomly generated little mission that it comes up with on the fly, and you lose it as soon as you die. So it'll say, oh, you kill the next guy with a backstab, or kill the next guy with a weapon that you picked up off the ground, or something like that. So, yeah. Alright, so let's have a look through game mode, shall we? We've got standard playlists, hardcore playlists, and clan versus clan. We're going to do standard for the most part. I never liked hardcore and COD, mostly because the weapons are terribly balanced and don't really work. So, the only 18-player map, I believe, is Ground War, which is 12 to 18 players there. And then the rest of them are mostly 8 to 12. That's the size that the maps are designed for. The maps are very small, so that's kind of to be expected here. Now, if we were to have a look at the game modes, there's a couple of interesting ones. You know, you've got things like Cranked. I believe that's a new one. So, once you get a kill, you crank up, which makes you a little bit faster. And it also gives you double scoring and extra abilities, but if you don't get a kill within 30 seconds, you explode. So, that's pretty cool. There's things like Blitz as well. I can't even remember which of these were in Modern Warfare 3 and which weren't, because I played so little of Modern Warfare 3. But there's also Hunted, which I really like. This is actually one I want to show you, because this is one of the more interesting modes. It's also a little bit of an equalizer as well. You start with a basic pistol with one magazine, and you have to try and find supply drops, which give you random weapons. It's kind of fun, and I think we'll probably start on that, and then we'll have a look at other stuff. Kill confirmed, very standard game mode. So, you can't really argue that Call of Duty doesn't provide a lot of different game experiences, because it does. It's got a hell of a lot of game modes, and I'm actually quite impressed by their dedication to making new game types. Hunter's a really cool game type, Cranked is a really cool game type, and I like it a lot. Alright, so as you can see, matchmaking across the board here, so expect lag problems. I've experienced quite a few of my own during this game. So we'll get in and see how it goes. Netcode appears to be very similar to previous. I've been shot around corners before just because of the client-side hit detection and things like that. It's to be expected. You can watch it on the kill cam and see how it happened, but it's always a little strange to know that you've unloaded a good few rounds into that guy and only a few of the hits actually registered because of lag or whatever. Alright, let's rock and roll, shall we? So you start with a basic pistol, that is all you get, and then you attempt to get a bunch of other weapons by getting supply drops, and they're very random. Each crate will spawn 5 weapons. You hold the button down to grab the weapon, and you usually get a single magazine for it. And, you know, it's fairly interesting in that respect. Alright, so, this looks a little bit similar to the last 7 Call of Duty games, doesn't it? And as it should. If this is the next-gen Call of Duty, they have monumentally failed to impress. And, you know, maybe it's just because games like, I don't know, Battlefield exist, which is an awful lot better. But this game does not look next-gen at all. In fact, I go as far as to say Black Ops 2 looked a little bit better. Maybe it's just because of the art style that they used there, and the focus on futuristic, but just the overall texture quality and the effects and just everything that you see in this game is incredibly weak. I should also point out that performance is pretty bad as well. So I'm having to actually use fraps with this, which is ridiculous. That should never happen, because I have a program called DxTory, which is a hell of a lot better. But DxTory just doesn't work with this game, and I cannot explain that, because for crying out loud. Because I've never really seen a game that works with fraps that doesn't work with DxTory. That's incredibly rare. So I was very surprised to see that. But I did about 2 hours of testing in the multiplayer with just basically looking at frame rates, yeah? And they are all over the place. It gets particularly bad in Extinction mode, where the frame rate can drop down to about 30. And I also noticed a lot of micro stutter with SLI, so I turned that off to see if that made the performance better. Got rid of the micro stutter, some of the worst I've ever seen. Really bad. But it didn't get rid of the frame rate issues. And I'm like, guys, I'm on a friggin' Titan. Your game is not good enough to justify that level of performance. It isn't. It looks like the last few Call of Duties. It really, really does. I'm not sure what exactly they are claiming to have improved here, but it's abundantly clear that the improvement was nowhere near good enough. Maybe it's just because I've been playing a lot of Battlefield lately. And as a direct result, I expect maybe just a little better from my FPS. And I'm not getting it. And that's disappointing me a lot. I compare this to Battlefield 4. I don't think Battlefield has anything to worry about. If the next-gen wars between those FPS were going to be a thing, I don't think you should be worried about that at all. Because it's blindingly obvious that the better-looking game is Battlefield 4 by a country mile. You know what? Actually, Battlefield 3. No, Bad Company 2. You go back that far, it looks better than this. This looks dated. And it really comes down to the fact, like, the texture quality is just dreadful. It really, really is. You know, I'm a stickler for texture quality, right? I really am. Notice I'm not really caring about the gameplay. It's mostly because, for some reason, it's locking my frame rate to around 45, which is making the game quite difficult to play. But regardless, I'm a bit of a stickler for texture quality. And rightfully so, because I try and represent high-end PC gaming, and I also have an interest in the next-gen hardware. And when I heard that Call of Duty was going to run at 720p on the Xbox One, I thought, wow, you know, they must have really cranked up the fidelity then. No, not really. That is not true. They evidently haven't. I don't know how many assets have been reused here, but considering the number that were reused in Modern Warfare 3, probably quite a lot. I am ultimately not impressed at all by either the performance or just the general graphical fidelity of Call of Duty Ghosts. The sheer amount of money that they spend on this game, you would think that it would look better than Bad Company 2. And it doesn't. And Bad Company 2 is several years old now. That's the reality of it, yeah? What you're up against right now is Battlefield 4, which is probably the best looking PC game ever made. Yeah, it really is. It is that damn good. It looks incredible. Until Star Citizen comes out, I find it unlikely we're going to see anything that looks better. Maybe Witcher 3, but... And then you expect me in 2013 to accept this. And if maybe they'd actually innovated in some way and made some significant changes to the way that the game plays, maybe I would have thought, alright, okay, alright. I can deal with the fact that it doesn't look as good. But they haven't! It's the same bloody game over and over again. I thought Battlefield was a little bit too similar. Oh, wow. Compared to this, Battlefield is the most innovative title this year. It's not even close. It's absurd. This plays like Modern Warfare 3 did. It doesn't even feel as good as not Bad Company 2, sorry. Black Ops 2. Why did they have to do that? It sounds so similar. It doesn't feel as good as Black Ops 2. Maybe it's just because the equipment and the weapons in general are a little bit more boring. Yeah? Maybe that's why. Because we're looking at this sort of near-future setting right here, and for the most part, there aren't all that many really interesting guns. They've added a new class of gun in, which is basically the marksman's rifle, which is exactly the same as that is in the new Battlefield as well. But even then, the actual gun loadout really does feel very similar to the previous games. And I was hoping maybe they would just throw caution to the wind. Because in a way, if you remember what Black Ops 2 did, it kind of did throw caution to the wind just a little bit. It was willing to have silliness, as was Black Ops 1. But, frankly, it seems like Infinity Ward are stuck in this rut of, we're the best, we can just keep making the same damn thing over and over again and people will buy it. And they might be right, but maybe, just maybe, Ghosts is going to be that watershed moment where people say, you know what? No, this is not good enough. I am not enjoying this anywhere near as much as I actually enjoyed Black Ops 2, and I will happily attest, I had fun with Black Ops 2. It's a dumb, simple game. But they tried. They were obviously trying. There's no evidence here that they're really trying to do anything other than make the same game that they did previously. We'll do another round of this, and then we'll try a couple of other things. The Extinction Mode video is going to be a separate one entirely. I'm not going to show this as part of the multiplayer here. But ultimately, at this point, the game is suffering from so many performance issues that are utterly unjustified that recommending it on PC is really difficult to do. These freezes are incredibly irritating, and having it happen in the options menu makes it difficult to change things. Having it happen in the loadout menu is exactly the same kind of problem. And when you get into game, you think, Huh. Why is it running so badly when there's clearly nothing on the screen to justify that? We're talking about battles that are, what, 4 times smaller than the stuff that Battlefield offers, and the performance is as problematic, if not worse, in places. I can kind of understand when Battlefield's performance drops, because at least it looks the part. Oh, it's dipped down to about 45 for a little while? Well, it looks amazing, so I can kind of understand that. But with this, when it dips down to like 45, I'm looking at a badly textured wall. And it really is as well. I mean, this is hideous. I'm sorry, it is. Even through YouTube artifacting, you should be able to tell just how hideous these textures are. What exactly is the 50 gigabyte install for? I really have to ask. I'm genuinely curious to know where that space went, because it wasn't on uncompressed textures, I can tell you that for a fact. The game is weak sauce, graphically. It really, really is. Oh, man. Can you tell I'm pissed? I am. I really, really am. I expect better from a company of that size. And let's be honest, though. I mean, Infinity Ward is a shell of its former self. The guys who actually made Infinity Ward are now working at Respawn, working on Titanfall. So, Infinity Ward is really them in name alone, frankly. That's a fair thing to say, I feel. And it seems like Infinity Ward has now become the Treyarch of old, where they were the guys making the kind of bad off-season versions of COD. But this is not a better game than Black Ops 2. Not at all. I don't think you can really argue anything else. It just doesn't feel as good. It looks arguably worse. The performance is a hell of a lot worse, and it's lacking key features that you would actually expect from a PC game. And I think there's just sheer arrogance involved in that. The idea of saying, you know what, we don't have to improve because we're Call of Duty. Well, maybe this time you do. Maybe this time people are going to realize that actually Battlefield 4 destroys this game in every way. And I have sort of hesitated in the past from saying things like that because I've said, look, you know, Battlefield's a different kind of game. But it isn't anymore. It's not. These kind of game modes, well, maybe not something as fancy as this, but the kind of squad deathmatch kind of thing is done better in Battlefield. Better gunplay, better graphics, far better level design, and of course the fact that none of this ridiculous perks and kill streaks are there is actually a benefit as far as I'm concerned. Now, I don't view those features as anything that an FPS really needs. And for the most part, it just gets in the way of more interesting, balanced gameplay. I'll try a different game mode after this. Maybe just do a little bit of kill confirmed, but... I actually, I think what's probably going to happen is PC gamers are going to play this for a few days and they're actually going to go back to Black Ops 2. Because Black Ops 2 is just a better game in general. From what I feel so far. You know, this is at first impressions, as it always is when I do these videos. Good few hours in to the multiplayer, but... I am not having that much fun with it. I have got to say. And I think I've been lenient when it comes to dealing with things like Call of Duty in the past. I'm not as vitriolic. Oh, sorry, I pressed Q expecting Spot to work. Never mind. I'm not as vitriolic when it comes to dealing with Call of Duty as other people are. I give it a lot of leg room. And I don't think that this time it's actually earned it. Not at all. It's just not as good a game. Where does Call of Duty go from here? I have no idea, but it's certainly not going to go in the direction of Ghosts. I think this is definitely the worst Call of Duty to come out in a while. And if falling sales figures are anything to indicate, then this series is going to have a bit of a renaissance if people are going to keep buying it. And this is not that. I was hoping it would be. But I don't know why I believe that. I looked at the trailers like, oh wow, you know, dynamically evolving levels, kind of in style of Battlefield nonsense like that. No, not really. You know, occasionally something will fall down. That's about it. That's about as far as that goes. When it comes to level design, DICE absolutely crushes them in this respect. It really does. What else is there to even say? Terrible PC port. Ooh, hello. Very, very similar to the last one. Ultimately a waste of your time. I mean, need I say more? Need I say more? No doubt more advanced Call of Duty players are going to point out even more flaws in this bloody thing. This is just what I noticed from being kind of a fairly casual COD player that picks the game up and... What the hell just... I don't even know. I don't even want to know. Sorry guys, your game looks like it's from 2008. And yet, you're bringing my machine to its knees for no apparent bloody reason. You say you focus on the 60 FPS experience, you can't even attain it on the next-gen platforms. Like, yeah, next-gen platforms were trying to hit that 1080p 60. Didn't manage it on Xbox One. You didn't manage to hit it on the real next-gen platform, which is this one, yeah? As in, my machine is way more powerful than that stuff, and your game runs like crap. So what does it show to me? Again, Infinity Ward doesn't care about PC. So I would strongly recommend that PC stops caring about Infinity Ward. Really, you have a better game now. It is called Battlefield 4. And for all of the bugs and problems that Battlefield 4 has, it still provides a far more satisfying FPS experience than this one does. And at least they tried to make a PC game. Jeez. They made an effort. It's like, hey, you know, look at how great this looks on PC. This is clearly the superior version. We're gonna put all these interesting features in. And then you go on a Call of Duty and you think, what the hell is this? Might as well be playing Modern Warfare again. I'd have a more enjoyable experience, especially the Pro mod. Alright, now I'm just complaining. This is a waste of your time, ultimately. The video is a waste of your time in the same way that the game is a waste of your time. You do not need to pay any more attention to this. You can safely avoid Call of Duty Ghosts on PC if you're interested in multiplayer right now. You really can. $100 million game. Can't even keep its camera straight. Hilarious. Utterly hilarious. What a mess. If you wish to pick up Ghosts, you can do so for $60 and then enjoy paying another $60 for the inevitable map DLC that's coming out over the next few months. Yeah, enjoy that. Or you can get the Hardened Edition, which is like $120. Or you could not do that. You could buy a better game. Yeah. Buy a better game. I'll see you next time.